does this sound like?
A horse galloping?
Yeah. Oh, hey there.
You are not freaking Deadpool. Get over that freaking movie already. Hi guys,
Hey.
and welcome to another episode of Trew Review.
People have been asking what this wall is.
It's Ticket Wall.
It's ticket stubs.
So all our cinema tickets of films that we watch, we just like stick it on the wall.
It's going to cover my entire room.
So today we are going to be reviewing Demolition, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Naomi Watts, directed by Jean-Marc Vallée, who also did notable films such as Dallas Buyers Club and Wild.
Before I start, Jake Gyllenhaal, if you're watching, you are my favourite actor. The past 4 or 5 movies you've done, incredible movies.
Killed all of them.
Jake Gyllenhaal he's found the secret. I didn't see a lot of advertisement and trailers for this movie. In fact, I didn't see one.
I didn't see any. I got to the cinema, I was like, can I have a ticket for Demolition? The woman even looked at me funny, like, the fuck is that? I'm like, yeah, you work here. So I went in completely blind and I was blown away. This performance by Jake Gyllenhaal was so good. I wouldn't say sensational. I would reserve that for films like Nightcrawler.
Yeah. So this movie follows Jake Gyllenhaal's character Davis, who works in the financial industry. Very, very early on in the movie, he loses his wife in a fatal car accident. Follows his journey through grief and depression and just handling trauma and stress. Right off the bat, I want to just say hats off to the director. Precious mentioned he's done films like Wild and Dallas Buyers Club, so he's all about focusing the movie around the protagonist.
I think what he does fantastically is focus the film around, as you said, the protagonist, but their actual emotions and the emotions of other characters and how that builds into one story and works back from that, rather than having a film with all this stuff happening and actually while you're doing this try and portray this emotion.
Right. It almost reminded me of another Jake Gyllenhaal movie called Enemy.
Yes,
guys, movie, man.
Watch Enemy. At the end, you will literally be like, what the fuck have I just watched?
That's my favourite movie of all time. When things were happening in the movie, I was questioning whether this was real or this was in his head. After he loses his wife, he tries to get a pack of M&Ms from a vending machine, and like always, his M&Ms get stuck. You know, he's still trying to manage his grief, and he decides to basically start writing to the company that makes the vending machines. And in his letters, he starts more or less venting about his situation and what's happening, and that's how he decides to tackle his emotions. Later on in the movie, he gets a phone call back, and it's the customer service rep played by Naomi Watts, a lady called Karen, and they start talking. I started to wonder, is he just creating this character to more or less vent to his own way of managing his own grief? It's also interesting that the film is called Demolition. I think that title itself has a lot of meaning. Another way he decides to handle his grief is he starts taking up construction work. It's quite an interesting mix between him demolishing things in the real world versus him demolishing himself and demolishing his own emotions.
I think the director did a fantastic job of not only showing the physical aspects and the internal aspects of his demolition, but also the way he managed to be destructive in his relationships with other characters in the film as well. Right. It was such an emotional movie because it was something that you could really, really connect to.
Yeah.
I spent the entire movie trying not to cry.
I was doing this, and then every now and again I do that. Throughout the entire movie, we see Jake Gyllenhaal on numerous occasions really fight to hold his emotions in, and that is how I felt.
You felt yourself really emulating what you were seeing on screen.
Yes.
It was such an emotional roller coaster for the viewer, and I think that's so important for a film to actually be able to allow you to connect with the characters on that level.
Right. A huge amount of praise has to go to, of course, Jake Gyllenhaal. He's very good at being very light-hearted and being very crazy and very neurotic. And at the same time, he can quite easily get very emotional and very intense.
I think the cast was actually picked very, very well. I love the relationship between him and Naomi Watts. I think their chemistry was amazing.
Right.
And as well, Jake Gyllenhaal and Chris Cooper, who plays Phil in the movie, who's the father of the late wife of Jake Gyllenhaal.
Just on the topic of really solid acting, I want to give a massive shout out to Judah Lewis, who plays Chris in the movie. He plays the son of Karen, and his acting was so good. He plays a very troubled character with a lot of internal battles that he's facing, you know, his own demolition. He done an amazing job of presenting that on screen.
For such a young actor to do that, I think was really, really impressive. Each character did add something to the film and really did add a new dynamic of how we can experience as a viewer the demolition that is occurring throughout the film and the different things it can mean for different people. The movie kind of explained that actually not all demolition is bad. Naomi Watts' character Karen takes us through that example very well.
Right. It was one of those movies where the credits start rolling at the end and you can hear everybody in the theatre like, wow. like, I need to change my life. If you're a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal, if you're just a fan of solid acting,
and even if you're not a fan of like emotional movies, or you really like action movies, or you really like horrors, or whatever genre you prefer, I would ignore all of that and definitely watch this film, because
for sure.
I feel like it will just change your life in a little way. It's not in every cinema because it is quite an indie movie. Definitely try and catch it before it leaves cinema.
I'm gonna give this movie an A+. Thinking about the movies I've watched both this year and last year, this is definitely in my top 5. Everyone gave a solid performance.
I'm gonna give this film 8 out of 10. I thought it was amazing. The score as well really brought something to the film. The film isn't particularly fast paced, which is why I'm not gonna give it something higher, but I didn't get bored. An 8 out of 10 would definitely manage people's expectations, but also let you know that this film is really worth watching. So definitely go and watch it.
So guys, as always, this has been Trew Review. Leave a comment below, let us know, subscribe, like, share, all that lovely YouTube stuff, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye guys.
Peace.